Hello, lovely people. Today we're going to tackle a topic about cancellations and comb filtering. I'm going to try to show you what does comb filtering does, how it looks like on an RTA, and what is the best way to avoid it. In order to do that, I have some props. I'm gonna talk about this. This is because, like, if you see my mid-range, it's in the dash, in the corners of the dash. It's a very popular position. Some people even put the tweeter next to the mid-range in the dash, or you have like factory locations, factory tweeters firing up in the glass. And basically, what happens is you have two sound sources. One is coming directly from the speaker. When it's plays omnidirectionally, it's coming towards to you. And the other one is bouncing off the glass and is coming towards you as well. And then these two waves, that direct one and a reflected one, they interact here in the listening position. And depending on the distance between the, in this case, glass and the speaker, there can be cancellations or boosts or whatever. And that's exactly what we're going to be observing on the RTA. In order to do that, I have a mic here positioned, is going to be measuring the response. So it is a stationary mic. It doesn't matter because this is just for testing and for explanation. So the actual response doesn't really matter. What we want to see is how the things are changing. So this is the microphone, and since the cabin is symmetrical, it doesn't matter on which side it is. And then I have two speakers. I have a mid-range, which is a good prop because it's closed back mid-range. So it doesn't play that low. It's playing from, I think, like 500 hertz and up. And this is going to be for displaying, checking the frequencies between, I want to say, like 500 and maybe 7-8K, depends how high it plays. And then we have a typical big format home tweeter, which is SB Acoustics, cheap, like 15 pounds or whatever, but it's good. Again, it's closed back, so I can basically put it on the dash and put it close to the glass or far from the glass. And I'm gonna be, instead of going up and down, changing the distance, I'm gonna be moving the driver back and forth. So if I move the driver back, basically this part is touching the glass, so it's as close as possible to the glass. And when I'm pulling it forward, the distance between the speaker and the glass is increasing. And if I pull it even more forward, the distance is gonna be like till here, so big distance. So I'm gonna do the same with the mid-range and exactly the same with the tweeter. And then we're gonna be observing how RTA changes. So I will be playing pink noise through my DSP. And then for this, what I did, I added some smoothing, because without smoothing, it's a bit confusing. So I added 1/6 smoothing, and I did only 2 averages so that it would be very responsive. You see, the RTA responds to what I'm talking. If I shut up, that's the floor noise, yeah? And this is me talking. So I want it to be responsive so that when I pull the driver or push it, you will see the change, how it changes. So the plan is to check the mid-range, check the tweeter, and at the same time, I don't know if we'll be able to see it, but I would like to show you how cancellations are moving through the car if we're gonna have same speaker locations, which is gonna be the subwoofer or the mid-bass, and we're gonna change the microphone position. Okay, so let me put the phone in and let's check the mid-range. So now we're gonna check the mid-range. I'm gonna play pink noise. I don't see the screen, but I think you will be, because I want it to be a bit darker so you could see the screen, because during the day you couldn't be able to read the actual screen. And here I think you can see when I'm pushing or pulling the driver. So now I'm gonna play some pink noise. The pink noise is playing through the speaker. When I don't talk, you have the actual response. So let's make it a bit louder. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the actual response of the driver not in the corner. So if I tip it, it's directed directly to the microphone, and you can see a peak at 6.5K, which is the cone breakup. And that is the actual response. Notice how the response changes when I put the driver in the corner, from this to that. So we have a dip at 1K and a 3.5K. Now observe the RTA when I'm gonna be pulling the driver. That means increasing the distance between the glass and the driver. Look what happens. Basically, you can see how these two dips are moving in frequency. Now I'm gonna pull them back, push the driver back towards the glass, and you will see these two dips going towards the higher frequencies. See? So depending on the distance to the glass, let me lower it a bit. Depending on the distance on the glass, you have the dips and peaks moving and shifting in frequency. So when you're putting your mid-range in the dash, the closer, but the thing is, like, if you would see, this is affecting like between, I want to say 2 and 5K, which is most of the time is the crossover region. And it is really, really important. So depending on the distance on the glass, you can have that dip in the pass band where the mid-range is actually playing. So if I'm gonna have, let me have a big distance now. So that dip is at 2K. If I push it, see that between 2 and 5, how it just moved to the side. So depending on the distance to the glass, you can affect the crossover region or the band pass. It depends how high you cross your mid ranges. Okay, now let me swap and let's check the tweeter. Now I have the tweeter connected, so let me put some pink noise. If I have my tweeter next to the mic, I'm gonna do a near field. You can see the response is pretty flat. I crossed it at 1.5K for protection. So now the tweeter is next to the glass, very close to the glass. And you can see there's stuff happening here, yeah? Now watch what happens when I pull the tweeter towards me. That means increasing the distance between the glass and the tweeter. So the most notable is the peak at 7K. It kind of travels from 10K down to there, and then something happens with the dips here as well. Basically, the further I pull the tweeter, the more I increase the distance between the glass and the tweeter, the affected range goes down into the crossover region, like 2-3K. If I push it back, Yeah, so this is right next to the glass. So depending on where you put your tweeter, you're gonna have a different response. Now what I'm gonna do, you can see this response is kind of, if I push it, the response is in the dash, yeah? And you have a pretty flat response down to 1.5K. It's pretty flat, it's like plus minus 5 dB, yeah? If I stop talking, it's pretty flat. Now watch what happens when I'm gonna put the tweeter in the corner of the dash or next to the A pillar. And I'm gonna leave it on axis. Watch how the frequency response change. Actually, surprisingly, it didn't change that much. I was expecting a bigger peak, but surprisingly, it's very, very linear, even in the corner of the dash. Yeah. It's pretty cool, but the most thing to remember is, like now, when we have the frequencies affected in the crossover region like 2-3K, the distance between the glass and the tweeter, I want to say is like 2 inches. So if you have like 2 inches between the glass and the tweeter, you're going to affect the crossover region. If it's really, really close to the glass, yeah, it's a bit of a mess. So tweeters, try to keep them on axis. Now, somehow I will see if it's gonna be possible to demonstrate the cancellations in the car caused by subwoofer and mid-bass. Okay, so now I'm gonna try to demonstrate how cancellations depend on the location. So you can do 2 ways. You can do the same that I did with the driver. You can have microphone in one place, and I do apologize because it's already dark, but I want you to see the screen because the screen is the most important. You can move the driver and have the mic in the same position. You're gonna see how the cancellations change, combo effect or however you call it. Or you can do the other way around. You can have the driver in one place, which is in this case gonna be my front subwoofer. It's gonna be playing here. And what I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be moving the microphone back and forth the cabin. And you will be able to see how everything changed. So let me put some pink noise a bit louder. So this is full range. The driver is pulling full range. Okay, I have microphone here, let's say in the listening position of the passenger side, yeah? Now focus on the cancellation at about 180 Hertz. And now I'm gonna start moving the mic forward, just like that. And you will need to see how it changes, okay? So I'm gonna stop talking, I'm gonna start moving the mic, and look at that 180 cancellation. And now I have the mic in front. So you see that cancellation disappeared. However, another one at 250 appeared out of nowhere. That's the one at 250, 60. If I'm gonna move the mic back, the one at 260 is gonna disappear and the other one appear. Look. Okay? Yeah. So, this is the front sub, yeah? Now let's check the other drivers. So now I have my subwoofer playing, which is IB sub. I have my microphone here. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go from the very back, from here, up to the front, up to here, because it's long wavelengths, so we need a big distance. Pay attention, like if I'm gonna put the mic in the very back like there, pay attention at the cancellation at 35, and you will be able to see how I move my mic. That cancellation is moving in frequency from 35 up to 80. So I'm gonna start moving the mic now. You can see the 35 disappeared, and the one I'm in the listening position. So the 35 disappeared, and the one at 60 appeared. And when I'm gonna move forward, the one from 60 is gonna shift 70 and 80. Look. And now my microphone is there. So when I move my mic, if I'm gonna move it back, the cancellation is moving. So exactly the same happens when you change the position of the subwoofer. If you would have my subwoofer is in the very, very back, like I don't know, you won't be able to see, it's in the very, very back in the very corner. If you would put the subwoofer behind the seats, that response is gonna be different, and the cancellation is gonna be in a different place. Let me move it back. From here, back to the rear seat. So now we have it at 80. Let me move it back. And see it's back at 35 Hertz. So depending on where you are in the car, let me remove this. Depending on where you are in the car, the cancellation changes. And the last one, let me demonstrate the mid bass. Now I have my right mid bass, which you won't be able to see, it's next to my feet. The right mid bass, I'm playing the right mid bass. So usually this is the most problematic one, because usually it's in the door next to your leg, and it causes the most problems. So let me show you what kind of problems it has. I'm gonna have my microphone, I'm not gonna move it through the whole car. I'm gonna move it, if I'm gonna, on this seat, like from here to here, but I'm gonna do it on my side, on the driver's side. Yeah, so I'm gonna move it just this distance. And pay attention at the cancellation at about 80 Hertz, and the one high about 200-300. So let's crank up the pink. So now I have my microphone right where my head is. If I pull it a bit back towards the headrest, watch at that 80 Hertz. See how deep it got? If I move the mic forward, it's disappearing, but the one at 300 Hertz is appearing. Look at 300 Hertz now. If now I have the microphone here in front of the steering wheel, now I'm gonna pull it back. See, the one at 300 Hertz disappeared, and the one at 80 appeared. So imagine if you have a driver, so now the driver is a bit further down in the kick. If I would pull it forward in the door where it was, it would be similar to the measurement that I had with the microphone next to the headrest, which is this. Oh, it's not loud enough. Which is this. So see that at 80 Hertz. So my car has a cancellation at 80 Hertz from the mid-bass driver, and when you saw exactly the same cancellation at 80 Hertz from the subwoofer. That is exactly why I needed the front sub to cover that region, because I have cancellations from both sides. And finally, let's check the passenger mid-bass. And this is a response going to be from the passenger mid-bass, which is deep in the kick, in the footwell, under the glove box. It's basically under the laptop there. So if I put the pink noise, and I have the microphone where my head is. I'm gonna put it there. You see there's no cancellations. However, it starts to drop off at 200 hertz. Yeah, 2 to 300. I'm gonna start moving the mic towards the steering wheel and look at that drop off at 200 hertz. See, now it went to like 180. So basically the drop off starts earlier when I have the microphone here in front of the steering wheel. Now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna pass the headrest and go even back further. Now I pass the headrest, the mic is there behind it, see? And you have a mountain at like 60, 70 hertz. On the back. And here you are. So this was basically mainly to show how speaker positions change the response and how listening position change the response. And that's why you cannot have a 2-seat tune, because for 2 seats you need a same response from both seats. And as you can saw, even if I change the mic from here to here, the response changes, the cancellation changes, and you're not gonna have, it's impossible to have same response in the driver's seat and in the passenger seat, even if the cabin is symmetrical, because you will need different EQ for different sides. So hopefully this was useful for some to see how the lines move, how the cancellations move. And if you're building a system, move your speakers around, move your subwoofer. You have a box in the back, move the subwoofer, and depending on the position, you have a different response. If you have a cancellation somewhere, try, and it's annoying you, you want to get rid of it, try to move the speaker in a different position. So if you have a cancellation in the door, which is the most, sorry, you're not going to see anything because it's totally dark. If you have a cancellation in the door, if you move the driver into the kicks, as you saw that the cancellation is just moving and shifting. Exactly the same for the mid-range and the tweeters. Experiment with positions and choose the best one for your specific vehicle and the drivers, because it will depend on the vehicle, depends on the glass, how steep it is, how shallow the glass is, it depends on the distance, it depends on everything. So test, measure, and see how your car responds. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.